do you discover your gift?
I think your gift discovers you. That in the course of doing various things that we all do, if we are exposed to a rich childhood and a rich environment, we find things that we just do really, really well, better than other people do it. And we say, wow, doesn't that feel terrific? Doesn't that feel so great to do things well? Of course, we find things that we do really, really badly, and that's the adversity
But
piece.
I think ultimately, generally speaking, people go to the path of least resistance. But in that case, what's determining the resistance isn't necessarily where your talents lie, but where you can make the money that justifies whatever, the house, the life, the whatever it is.
I think it starts much earlier than when money making is a consideration.
But if you're talking about artists, you're talking about people that choose the path less traveled, or the road less traveled, right? So, implied is a journey of difficulty, not necessarily something. Well, I guess that would be self-actualization, but the road. I don't mean to take this on such a divergent tangent, but basically what I'm being a devil's advocate for in terms of this discussion is self-actualization, discovering self-actualization based on what you're good at or what people think you're good at isn't always the way to, I don't think is the way to get there. Or am I really, did I just go off the bean?
They asked the great writer Samuel Johnson why he wrote. And he said, nobody but a blockhead writes for any reason other than money. So I don't think we should be embarrassed at people acting in order to get paid. People have put in sweat and blood and tears to get to that point.
Sure.
And I think it's fantastic to
I applaud it.
Compensated for that, or anybody who has some great talent. But I think what we are saying is that it's not just for the money. I think many of us have a calling, and I think a great actor wants to leave a memorable impression in the mind of the audience, whether it is on the stage, whether it's on film. And I think that is why we love great actors and why we remember them and why we revisit them. Ingrid Bergman in Casablanca, I can watch her any number of times as I see her emotions, shifting moment to moment. She's happy and then she's sad, she's nostalgic, she's determined, she's vacillating. You can almost see these sort of very minor shifts just in the way she moves her eyes or her mouth changes. It's endlessly fascinating. It's like watching some kind of a moving sculpture of enormous complexity. So I think that we do things for money and we need to get paid. We work very hard to get where we are, but we also do things for transcendent reasons, for reasons that are what cause us to reach out to one another and move one another. And that's the great gift that we have as humans, is that we can influence one another, hopefully for the good.
Well, see, the reason I'm smiling is because I never meant to equate deriving a living with somehow not living your dream. But it's interesting that the way that I perceived it, it's if you choose what you want to do in life, it's going to be hard. You understand what I'm saying? That was just the way that I had formulated in my mind was, if you choose the thing that you want to do in life, it's going to be difficult to make a living at it. But if you choose anything else, you'll be just fine. You just won't get to do what you want.
Well, I think it depends what a person wants. If you want to become a postal worker, that's not going to be very competitive. It may be hard for an individual, but it's not going to be that competitive. But if you want to go to Hollywood and succeed as an actor or director or producer, you're going to the place where there's a concentration of the best people in the world. I mean, obviously there are great people in Britain and there are great people in New York and here and there. But if you're actually choosing to go to a place where excellence is concentrated, and in that place you're trying to succeed, you are setting a very high bar for yourself. Now, I'm all for people doing that, but I think they have to understand what they're up against. Otherwise, they may not be very happy.
So let's backtrack a little bit. Can we talk about, we're still working out these definitions, right? These words, these definitions that get bandied, these words that get bandied about quite often, or these expressions is the more accurate way of saying it. So fear of success. What is fear of success?
Let's talk about fear of success. It's very common. And it can come about for many reasons. Let's say a young boy grows up with a father who's very competitive. And maybe the father pushes him to be very good at something. Baseball, tennis, academics. The father pushes him. But when he excels, then the father doesn't like it that much. He's being shown up. Even though he's wanted the kid to succeed, when the kid, don't become too big for your britches now. And so the kid may be getting mixed messages. He may be hearing that, I want you to succeed, but don't be too successful. And you could be punished if you threaten dad too much. That may not be good. So that's just one instance or one example, but there can be examples that maybe don't hark back to one's childhood. Maybe it can be, right now nobody knows me, so I'm right low down, so I don't have very far to fall. But if I succeed and then I'm a movie star, well, then the pressure will be on me. Okay, so I did one good gig, but now how can I follow that up? What's my second act? What's my third act? And you can start piling the pressure on yourself, and you can say, wait a sec, maybe it's better if I don't succeed in the first place. I've looked around, these stars, they have a hard time, they get divorced, they have unhappiness, they have drugs, they have this, they have this. Maybe I should just kind of fly under the radar here. Maybe I should just do something else. Maybe I should become something that's the fear of success, because you're already playing it out in the future. You're already imagining failing.
So what tools are there to combat that?
Well, I think
or to at least subdue it.
One tool, obviously, if you can talk with somebody, that's always a wonderful thing to do. But let's say I had you in my office, and you were talking to me about this. And we then looked through the alternatives. One alternative would be that you never really tried. You never really, really did your best. And another was that you did your absolute best, but it just didn't work out. And then we try to help put you in these two emotional situations. I could easily see a person, maybe yourself, maybe me, saying, I'm going to do my darndest. And if I fail, so be it. I've seen a lot of people, fear of success and fear of failure is allied to each other, because when you fear success, you also fear losing that success, or you fear not being able to replicate that success. And then people say, oh, it was just a flash in the pan. He doesn't really have the goods, and so on and so forth. So a lot of it is second guessing yourself. And I think that a lot of coaching involves helping people stay in the moment, helping people stay with their process, whatever it is that they're so brilliant at, whether you're an actor, whether you're a baseball player, whether you're a psychiatrist or a writer. You just do the best you can. And often you get mulligans. You can take things over. Sometimes you can't. But even if you flub your lines in a performance of a live play, you come back swinging the next night and you get them right. There's very few things where the error is absolutely fatal. We know certainly in movies that you have take after take after take until you get it right. Now, you've got to be pretty good to get to that point in the first place. But you get many do-overs. And I think bear that in mind. And if you succeed, let's say we think of Harper Lee. She wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a great piece of modern American fiction. Great work. People love it. People say it's one of their favorite books ever. She never wrote another book of anything like that proportion. Maybe she wrote something else, but I don't know what it is. And that's what people know her for. Now, okay, she succeeded brilliantly once. And maybe, and that's more than a lot of people can say. So, second guessing yourself, which you do when you fear success or you fear failure, is getting out of the process of saying, I'm going to do the best and I'm going to just leave the rest to, and then it's what your belief system is. I'm going to leave the rest to God. I'm going to leave the rest to the gods. I'm going to leave the rest to fate. Whatever it is that your belief system is.
The universe, whatever it may be.
The universe, exactly. And I should mention a quote from the Bhagavad Gita that says, we have control over the efforts alone, not over the fruit. And that's a way of saying, stay with your process. Put out your efforts, develop your skills as well as they can, see what happens, and use that for feedback for the next time. But if you're too invested in the result, you're going to get out of the process and you're going to perform at a lesser level.